back, everybody, to a new delayed edition of Two Bid SoCon. We got a fun episode for you guys today, talking a lot about the action in the SoCon ASun Challenge, where we'll go ahead and say the ASun probably won the first set of games here. It has been a while. I want to address I got sick and it kicked my butt for a couple of weeks there. So we did have some stuff planned. We were all at Lipscomb Wofford and wanted to get some content, but I didn't think Dwight Perry would appreciate me giving whatever I had to his team. And then same goes for Chat Austin P. So I'm gonna wear that on the chin but we're back. So I apologize for that, everybody. But Taylor, Jack, how are you guys?
Doing good. Glad you're feeling better, Matt.
I appreciate that, Taylor.
I'm alright. I had to come fitted today. I just realized I didn't even show y'all this when we were talking pre-show. Came fitted. All heart. All ball, baby.
Love it.
Wow.
AJ State McCray, thanks for scamming me with this NIL purchase. This thing did not come in the mail until he had already entered the portal. Scam artist, AJ State McCray.
I got to show y'all something too. It's not in yet, but
It's show and tell today.
Yeah, I did
So-
not start something there.
my birthday coming up and got 5 of these hats ordered, 2-bid SoCon. So next time I see you guys,
Let's go.
y'all want one. Y'all want a hat.
Okay, so Jack now has a polo. Taylor has a
Yep.
hat. What? I got nothing.
Yeah, you got to get something.
Do we need to make merch? Would anyone buy our merch?
Probably not.
No. Maybe.
Wonder if Catherine Prince would buy our merch.
You would burn our merch.
I highly doubt it. Speaking of, we'll start off with what has been the best team in the league so far. Furman is killing it. I know you guys aren't the biggest Furman fans, but what have you guys' thoughts of Furman been so far, Taylor?
They've looked really, this sounds cliche, but they look really good as a team. And man, PJ Smith averaging 21 a game. That game winner against Belmont that I wish I went to, we almost did. That was crazy to hit that at the buzzer because I'm sure in person that would have been nuts. Garrett Hine leading them in rebounds. And they just kind of all like played together as a unit, playing good defense. They've had like some 10-point, like just comfortable like 70 to 60 wins. I can't remember the scores at the top of my head, but all their wins except for Belmont have been really good, and they've really looked like a solid team so far. And PJ Smith looking, if it ended today, would probably be the player of the year after 4-5 games, and to see them get some votes for the top 25 is pretty crazy.
Jack, I see you smiling as PJ
Yeah.
Smith is brought up.
Yeah,
Would you like to apologize?
I love a 4-game player of the year race. No, PJ Smith's been good. We'll see it come conference play, but may or may not have been called out for my. Wasn't even PJ Smith hate. It was PJ Smith love
Realism.
from last year. I liked the role he was in, but yeah, he's been great. Furman's been great. Not a whole lot for me on Furman, early in the year, so I'm not going to make too many strong opinions. But yeah, they've looked really solid, and probably is some truth to them playing as a team. Like I think last year there was a lot of behind the scenes noise and maybe not great team chemistry for what that's worth. So I think things have gone well so far this year, and hopefully they'll continue.
Yeah, I think a lot was made about the shooting that they brought in this offseason, and it has been like every bit of what was said about it. Like Nick Anderson is shooting, I think he's shooting close to 60% from 3 right now, and Tom House, it feels like every time he gets a shot up, it's going in. And I love my strong position with Charles Johnson stock right now. I feel like if I hold on to that, I'm going to have a big boat one day, a big yacht because of it.
He had 4 threes against Jacksonville. He had a great game. Speaking of shooting.
I was so impressed with that Jacksonville win, honestly, because I don't know what Jacksonville's situation over there is, but it just felt like they really had to like fight and scrap for that win. They were trailing most of the first half and into the second half, and then once they got going and shooting the ball, and Charles Johnson was doing his thing, and Garrett Heen had a stretch in there. I think he had like an and one, and then a beautiful backdoor dime, and like when they finally got going as a team, it was impressive to watch. So they've definitely been the best team in the league so far, and PJ Smith obviously has been phenomenal. I just wonder, like, it looks sustainable. It looks kind of buckyball-ish, like I said last year. Like, the shooting numbers will stay, but obviously that's easier said than done. So I wonder where the scoring for PJ Smith kind of holds up and where the shooting stays for them. So they've just been phenomenal so far. I just wonder how it will hold up as we keep going. Speaking of holding up, the Chattanooga Mocs are starting to get a little healthy, starting to look a little better. Jack, do you have any thoughts on them?
Yeah, my thought is that I don't feel like you can be able to make many thoughts on Chattanooga so far, just because they're not healthy. Because I like we talked about early on with Frank Champion, he's still yet to play a game. I feel like he's going to be very good. And Huff and Bonham have both played really poorly. Maybe that's not really poorly. Huff's been better than Bonham. Bonham has had some stretches, but overall I feel like they probably played their B game at best so far. Like, this is not the
I would agree.
Two top candidates, for the player of the year like we thought preseason. Maybe the one thought I have is that Bash Wheeland is what they've never really had in a wing in recent history, is like a consistent force, like going to the rim. So he looks great, and I can't make too much. I feel like Colin Mulholland seems to be on some sort of minutes restriction. He's not playing a whole lot, and I've liked how he looked, like to the point where I'm like, why is he not playing? I think he's probably on some sort of restriction. This is totally speculation because I think he would play more. So yeah, I just think once they get healthy, we'll be able to make more. I'll have more thoughts on them, but right now I kind of feel the same as I did, that they could be the best team and probably a little bit better with Wheeland looking as good as he's looked.
Yeah, I wanna expand on both of those thoughts, because Wheeland has been even better than I thought that he would be coming off the injury. He just, he's brought, bringing the whole team to do the little things right. So, as soon as he came in the game that he was healthy, it's backdoor cuts, moving off the ball. He's got, the body of Luka Doncic, but, runs around the court like Steph Curry does. He's constantly moving off the ball. And when you see, I think against Austin Peay, there was 3 straight possessions where he scored on a backdoor cut on the baseline. And you start to see, if I'm Garrison Keesler and I watch Bash on a backdoor get an easy layup, I'm going to want the same thing. It just starts making everybody move. He's been great rebounding and, strong inside for them. I just wonder the big spot. I assume Champion will fill that in the starting lineup, but it's been rough for them so far. Outside of Mekhi Richards against St. Mary's, I feel like he would be the answer at big without Champion, depending on where they want to play him. But I think I see the vision with Latif Diouf, and you've mentioned that Mulholland doesn't quite look right, but I just don't know what the answer is for that team. And then, Huff is shooting 19% from 3 right now. And I think Bonham's at 23 or something like that. Those numbers will come back. And I think, there's still times that they get trapped in the half court that, some chat fans will probably get PTSD from. But I think with the big wings and when Champion gets back, they'll continue to kind of hit their stride. But they've definitely looked better than they did on their West Coast trip. Taylor?
I agree with all that. After the first 2-3 games, they started 0-3. Not so much Austin Peay because they were in that, but I was starting to get worried. They weren't hitting shots. They just didn't seem to be very coherent on the offensive end. Defensive was fine. They held Austin Peay to 67 points, but it was worrying me a little bit. But the last 2 games, specifically against SEMO, that was a good win because they almost gave it up a couple times, but Keesler hits the big shots, Weiland hits the big shots, and that was a good, gritty win on the road. I think they needed that, and again, when Frank Champion comes back and when the other guys are Mulholland's fully like back, if he is on minutes restriction right now, then once they're fully healthy, I think this will be a top 3 team in the conference, and I think it's only up from there. And Honor struggled, but and so is Trey. Obviously, Trey started to have some 13. I think he had 13 last game, which isn't great, but compared to the first 2, like he looked like he hit. I don't remember what game it was, but he had like a dagger step back 3. I think it was against Morehead State, and that was like what we saw out of him last year. I think he only ended up with 7 points, but those kind of shots can change everything for you. So again, those percentages will come up, and they're definitely on the up from where they were.
Yeah, I'll touch one more thing with the Mulholland. Like I said, that's totally speculation. But I remember when they first announced first game or when I was told they were going to be missing all 3 of those guys in Mulholland, Wheeland, and Champion. I was told like that's 3 potential starters. So, I don't think as many people were aware of Mulholland, but I've been aware of him for a while. Just in that people around the program are like, hey, this guy's got the skill set of a Jake Stevens, not to be overly exalting him because he hasn't done anything, right. But like that's kind of why they redshirted him to get him where he was going to be ready. I don't think a guy that you talk highly of like that and call a potential starter plays 7 minutes in a game like he did the other night. I'm kind of thinking it's something with that. Totally speculation again, and because of that, I kind of think when they get healthy, this is another thing. I don't want to spend too long on them talking about them, but they kind of give me Sanford vibes from last year, in that this year Sanford still gives me Sanford vibes, but like they're just so deep. I feel like if everyone's who we think they are, and really the main people who haven't been is Huff and Bonham, who have 3 years of proving this in the conference already, so I feel all right about them. But I kind of feel like they could be a team that any night 4 or 5 guys could get 20 points. I kind of feel like that could potentially be a reality with that team, and that's why I think they're going to be good, even though they're 1-3 or 2-3 right now.
2 and 3.
2-3,
yeah.
I think the encouraging thing for Huff and Bonham is that they're both still hunting their shots and they're both still getting their shots. They just haven't fallen. I think starting any season with a Big Ten team like USC, when both of those guys are under 6 feet, like it's not the best for your confidence, to be honest. But I do think as they get more comfortable, like Jack said, we've seen that they can produce in this league, and
not worried about it.
It doesn't bother me at all.
And they got a game against Johnson City coming up, and a few more of those that they should be able to get some rhythm.
Right, so yeah, that's always good for a team. We will go now to Sanford that Jack just mentioned. Jack, do you want to expand on your thoughts on any of them?
Oh man, I'll say one thing, and I think Colin Holloway, like, how did he end up at Sanford? That's my main thing. I probably think he's probably their best player. Well, I guess we'll see. But how do you get a wing like that that's can handle, can get to the rim, is strong? I really like him. But I do think outside of him, I think they've still got all the pieces, kind of like they did last year, to be really good. But you can tell, or to me, in the time I've watched them, and I haven't watched every single game, every single second, you can tell it's a bunch of new guys. And you can tell I can see the vision that they pitched to them of Sanford basketball, maybe without the experience there. Just in that, I kind of feel like there's a little bit of me ball, like, let's ISO get up a quick shot, which is partially Sanford's thing, but they also shared the ball a ton last year, and they're getting up quick shots, but sometimes too much. I feel like it's different guys going, all right, I'm gonna get one up here, and I think as the season goes, and again, that's not something I'm that concerned about right now, but I think they may struggle a bit as they have somewhat, even though they're 3-1 right now or 4-1. I think that's something that's going to get better, though they might struggle here for a second.
Yeah, I'm feeling very confident in my preseason pick of them at the moment because, like, I'm kind of scared of what they can become because, you mentioned Holloway and how good he's been, but doesn't it feel like there's still, like, more for him to become offensively? Like, I haven't seen much aggression from him. Like, he's been effective, and as a whole, they're shooting 46% from the field and 35% from 3. And it feels like they have left a lot of points on the board, like missing open shots and things like that. Like, it just, when they start making those shots, I'm terrified of how efficient the offense can be for them, especially with Rylan Jones kind of running the point. Jake Brownell has been amazing for them. Like, he basically taken the starting spot from Allensbach, who is having a great year and averaging, I think he's at 12 points a game or something like that. And Brownell is just shooting like 55% from three and like just took the starting spot from him. So their ceiling is just so high for me. So I'm excited to see what they can become. Taylor?
I had similar thoughts. They seem to not have put it together fully yet, and yet they're 3-1, averaging 97 points a game, which is sixth in the country. Still 12 deep already. It's crazy. That, and something that really impressed me. They did blow a 20-point lead against North Alabama, but you see so many teams just crumble after that, especially if it goes overtime. And they stayed with it, ended up pulling out the win, which, hey, a win's a win. And yeah, basically just what you guys said. They've got 4 guys averaging double figures, and then Rylan Jones averaging 6.5 assists a game and like a steal and a half. So getting good production for everyone. I've been impressed with Holloway and Brownell. Brownell, too, being their leading scorer. Did not expect that. So, yeah, they just got a good team, and I'm feeling good about your pick so far because when they're at full force, they're going to be hard to beat.
Yeah, the depth for this team gives them so much versatility, too, because watching that North Alabama game back, there was a point in overtime that they had, like, it was Jones, Fort, Brown, and Lucas Walls, and I want to say Brownell. And then, like, 3 minutes later, it's, like, Jones, Fort, Brownell, Allensbach, and I want to say Oleinka. Like, it feels like they can just win in so many different ways, like, with those lineups that they, like, Bucky has all the, like, pieces at his disposal, and then you add his IQ in, and, like, it just feels like they're always going to be in a position to win games. So I really like their versatility and what they can become as they continue to kind of mesh a little bit. Taylor, if you want to talk about something you feel good about, I'll let you, you want to talk about VMI here?
Oh, I'm loving VMI so far. I mean, this could be an overreaction, but like at the same time, they won 4 games last year, and they've already matched it and should have more after that close loss to Tennessee Tech. But like last year, they just had no go-to guy, like a true go-to guy. And I've just been really impressed with Kiudalas, averaging 18 a game, can hit the 3, I think, at 40% so far, and averaging 7 rebounds. And just to have an it guy like that for that school, I mean, other than Jake Stevens, has been rare for them. And to get some of these wins, like on the road against Bellarmine, however you say it, by like only 5, but that's a gritty win. Mm-hmm. And on the road versus Tech, they could have won. And even against Pittsburgh, the score was 93-48, but it was a 6-point game with 6 minutes left in the first half, and then they just kind of fell apart, which might be a good example. But I was into it for a minute. But hey, they're 4-2 after being 4-28 last year. I've been impressed with them so far.
I'm just imagining you locked in on upset watching the first half of VMI.
Yeah. They're down.
I was feeling good about it.
No way he's bringing up Pittsburgh here. They lost by 4.
It was like 30-24, and I was like, trust. And then it started to fall apart, and I was like, all right, I'm turning this off.
Laura loves VMI.
I don't know if I'm all the way in.
Love an underdog story.
Yeah, they're
I'm not saying they'll be a powerhouse. I'm not saying they'll be a powerhouse, but I'm saying they could get some upset SoCon wins, maybe not finish last, or even finish 8th or 7th, maybe 8th.
No, I agree with you.
Yeah.
I love the Pittsburgh optimism after getting blown out. But I agree. I mean, I think they've got the pieces to be at least competitive where they weren't competitive last year. It was a free win on every. Teams will have to. You can't sleepwalk through a win like you could last year, which is a big step in the right direction, and they could surprise some people this year.
Absolutely.
I'm a big fan of giving a team their flowers when they improve, but I'm not a fan of pity votes just because they won 4 games last year and they're 4-2 now. I don't think they're.
I didn't vote anything. I was happy to do well.
Yeah, the VMI
But-
hype video at the end of the year that has that in it is gonna hit like crack. I'm ready for it.
Yep. When they win the
They win
conference.
SoCon,
I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
When they win the
That-
SoCon.
That's a terrifying thought, actually. An entire military academy just being after
They're
me.
writing it down right now.
Sheesh. I can't get behind Andrew Wilson for president, though. I'll give you that.
Glad he jumped on the train. Thank you. I knew.
Um,
And that was before they won 4 games.
That's true. I'll give you that. We'll move now to the other military academy that will love me after this. Brody Fox is real, man. He is such a good basketball player. Like 6'6", freakishly athletic, can get to the rim at will, and is still like, he's not just shot chucking. Like, everything is within the context of the game. I just love watching that dude play, and I think like he can propel them to be better than any of us thought that they would be. We had them, or Taylor and I had them 10th, to be honest. Like him and Cam Glover, and congratulations, Jack.
Yeah, congrats. You had him 9th. Good job, Jack.
Known Citadel believer here.
Like, this sounds kind of weird because Holloway has been so good for Samford, but it kind of feels like Brody Fox has been to the Citadel what I expected Colin Holloway to be for Samford. Like, just that aggressive, like, we need a bucket, go get it. Like, he's just been so good. Jack, do you have any other thoughts on the Citadel?
30 points a game at 6'6" translates to any level. That's what he did in D3 last year. Unless he was it's a pure post player who's like 6'5", 6'6", which he wasn't. Like, that translates. I'm kind of surprised he got to the Citadel and not, even a bigger school. Even though, won't sleep on the Citadel. It's in Charleston, great city. Kind of could be worse.
He's good coach, too. I think Ed Conroy's
exactly.
a good recruiter.
I like Conroy.
Taylor, do you have any thoughts on El Cid?
Basically similar. I've been, impressed so far. They're 3-2, which isn't anything crazy, but hung in there with Boston College, which is impressive. And been very impressed with Brody Fox. He's athletic, he can rebound, and he kept him in that game with Boston College by simply drawing fouls and scoring. I also think Cameron Glover's shown promise. He had 17 last game on 4 threes, and sort of to what I was saying about the VMI, in the amount of time I've watched SoCon basketball, so 3-4 years, Citadel as well, like they've never had like an it guy, like a real it guy, and like they have one in him that, go get a bucket, he can do that for you, which will go a long way. I think at this point they've shown they can be somewhat competitive too come conference play. Although I thought so last year when they knocked off, I don't remember, Notre Dame, was it? And then they ended up having some injuries, but we'll see what happens. They've shown promise.
So Taylor, we've established that you feel good about my preseason pick. Do you want to talk about your preseason pick?
I am not feeling good about it so far. Man, 1-3, and I watched the first 10 minutes of that Duke game, and I couldn't do it anymore. I know it's Duke, but putting up 35 points in 40 minutes is brutal. They shot, I think it was, I don't remember off the top of my head, but like 6 of 30 from 3 or something, turned the ball over 15 times. Drip had 5 turnovers. Filowich, numbers didn't look bad, but he had 4 turnovers. I think he had like a 9, 8, and 4 stat line. But something I remember I touched on after it dropped 110 on Washington College, whoever the hell they played, was they rebounded well, but they did not shoot very well, and that has been evident. They're shooting below average, I think just 42% of the team on the year, and Filowich can't hit a free throw. And I've been a little disappointed. We saw it firsthand against Lipscomb.
What a stray at
But,
Filowich.
Let me
he's been
add
great,
to that. Let me add to
he
that.
really can't hit free throws.
If in conference play, there's no reason not to just hack a Shaq Filowich. That is the worst
Absolutely.
free throw stroke I've ever seen. Like that, and it's shocking. He's got great
It
touch
is really
around the rim.
shocking.
I don't know if I've ever seen somebody with like demonstrable touch just have it's awful. He wasn't even close on a lot of his free throws. That's a serious problem. I think conference play, he will be getting hacked. So
I said the same thing after the Lipscomb game. Yeah. No, you're good. Then also, Corey Tripp has been okay, 12-3-3, but only on 41% shooting, and he hasn't been aggressive like he should be, I think. For a guy projected to be near the contention for Player of the Year, like that Lipscomb game, we saw it. All three of us saw it, I guess. He shot 5 times, I think, in the first half. And then it was only when they went down 12 with 10 minutes left he started shooting threes and making them. But it's like almost too little too late. If he started firing early, like it could have made a difference. And even that first game, I think he only had 8 points when they dropped 115. And like he's still a great player. 12-3-3 is by no means a bad – it's a solid stat line. And I think he's leading the team in scoring. But for a guy that averaged 15.5 last year, I was expecting a bigger jump. And so I think he should be more aggressive going forward. And I just want to get more shots up early. And that's what I've seen from them.
Yeah.
It's been a rough start.
I will speak a bit to their credit. They've given themselves, and they've played a tough schedule so far. Lipscomb is a very good team on the road. I think Will Pruitt and Joe Anderson really gave Tripp and Bailey, Bailey had a decent game, but really gave them fits. Like I want to say there was 4 times that Joe Anderson just picked somebody's pocket and went the other way and got an easy layup. Like they were both phenomenal defensively. Playing Duke at Cameron Indoor it's a bye game, but like you're not gonna go in there and play well. Like it doesn't happen often. And then, especially when you come out and start whatever, I think they were 2 of 14 from the field, whatever they were, like that just snowballs at Cameron Indoor. And then Presbyterian's a good team too. So they haven't looked good, but they've played some tough teams. And I do think what we saw against the D2s or whoever else it was, like this team is super connected, and I think in the dog days of conference play that will really, really benefit them. That Duke game was a tough watch. If you watch that one all the way to the end, God bless you.
Did not.
Let me clarify. I did not expect to do good by any means, but I thought 35 points it'd be more than that.
Oh yeah, because I think I tuned out. It was like 30 something to like 7.
Yeah,
and then
I think it was 30 to 8, and I was like, all right.
Yeah. I caught the final, and I was like, oh boy.
Ooh. Flag only had 8 points. That's a plus. Filowich had 8 points.
I was about to say.
They scored.
Who was guarding Flag for whichever part of the game you watched? It was Jeremy Lorenz, who I've been adamant.
I don't even remember.
I've been adamant has not been phenomenal defensively in terms of when he gets switched onto a guard, he can't really move his feet well. But I think he held his own against Flag for however long they were in there. So props to Dwight Perry for scheduling Duke at Cameron Indoor. That's a tough one to go get. So we'll see how they continue to develop.
It may have been a little harsh on them, but I expect more.
Yeah, 100%. ETSU shot over 40% from 3 in a game. How about that? 43.5% against Davidson. This team, like I expected, is starting to come together a little bit offensively. And that was John Buggs still shot 4 of 11 from 3. Like Seymour and Peterson have looked so much more effective for them offensively. I've talked about this a bit before, but Seymour especially, his game has taken a huge step forward on that side of the ball. Like scoring with his back to the basket when he gets a switch, like making plays off the dribble for others, shooting threes in the context of the game when they're open, I think has really kind of unlocked him, and if that kind of efficiency can carry over, I think he could be in the Player of the Year race, and I think they're going to be very scary in conference play. Taylor, what do you think about ETSU?
I would agree. Before the Davidson game, I know they lost, but Davidson's always been a sneaky good lower D1 team, but going 10 for 23 from threes, I saw that and I was like, wow, that's pretty good. And they shot 48% total. The thing that, yeah, basically what you're saying, they're starting to come together. And Peterson 2 threes, Boyd 2 threes, Seymour 2 threes. To see them hit efficient threes because 2 for 3, 2 for 3, 2 for 4. Again, like when it's open, take it, and like in the context of the game. So before that, they're starting to look like the same old VMI last year when they were struggling. But and again, they only dropped 70 points. To me, they were, but
They look like VMI last year.
oh, sorry, ETSU.
Oh God,
They're
I was
starting
about
with
to
the
say.
ETSU from last year. I
was about
misspoke.
to say,
No,
don't make
no,
an enemy
sorry.
out of the ETSU fans.
No,
They
don't
might
come
be
at
the
me, ETSU
meanest.
fans. I misspoke. I'm sorry. Don't come at me. But yeah, they impressed last game. Only losing by 6 to Davidson at Davidson is not bad. Davidson's a good team. They're undefeated still. So
Davidson's
I
a
think
very
they'll
good
only
team.
get better from here. Yeah.
Jack, any thoughts on ETSU?
Yeah, not a whole lot. I kind of feel similarly than I did to start the year. They scare me, as in like, they're a little bit like they were last year for the majority of the season. I'm afraid that the conference tournament version may not be the regular season ETSU this year, which is probably not the hope. But I've liked what I've seen from Peterson and Seymour. I do think they've made a jump into just playing more efficient ball. Maybe they end up being just a more talented version of what they were last year, which will be a top 4 finish in this conference. So we'll see. But yeah, I don't have a whole lot to add. And like with all of these that we're talking about, we're so early in the year. I'm not gonna make some overarching conclusion.
So as you say that, we're gonna get into some early season overreactions here, as we are a couple of weeks in and we've started to be able to formulate some thoughts on everybody, and it's time to make some outlandish statements about what we've seen through 5 games, and we're gonna basically make it look like the whole season is gonna be like that. So Taylor, what is your first overreaction here in the first couple of weeks?
So I said sorry to ETS. I almost did it again. I said sorry to ETSU fans, but they might come after me anyway because my overreaction is they finished 7th again in the conference. Because Jack, to your point, they look the same as last year. I think starting to play some of these other SoCon teams, they might drop some of those games, especially if they start shooting the ball poorly. But saying that, they could come into the tournament and make the title game again. So I think finish 6th or 7th. That's my overreaction.
And let's preface this: this is overreaction.
That's my one overreaction.
Any social teams, with one of the teams in the SoCon, do not clip this as overreaction. We may or may not believe this. But if it does happen, I will.
That's why it's called overreaction.
But if it doesn't happen, I'm gonna act like I was not believing
So,
this at all.
Taylor, in this hypothetical overreactive world, who finishes below ETSU?
Citadel, Western, and VMI.
It's a good take. It's a really good take. Jack, what is your first overreaction?
Mine is going to be Wofford will finish outside of the top 5. And it's kind of why I held my tongue while we were talking about Wofford there. I wanted to talk more here. Obviously, Chattanooga, ETSU, Sanford, Furman, and I think one team will find their way above Wofford with how they're playing right now. Granted, they can figure it out over the year like we're sitting here saying, but they're just playing way too many people. I think that's my thing. We talk about Tripp not being aggressive enough. Tripp is playing like 26 minutes a game right now. This is a player of the year level player. It's a vet. Why is he should be playing 30, 35 minutes a game. They're just not sticking, and maybe this is partially like, hey, we know we're not a 2-bid league, rip the 2-bid podcast, but maybe they're just not valuing these games as much right now, early season. Like, they lost to Presbyterian, and they're playing in the last 3 minutes of the game with Luke Flynn in the game. No offense, but he's a true freshman who clearly, I think, probably can play some good basketball. But he's not contributing a lot as a freshman. Kamari Holmes is playing 13 minutes a game, who I've actually been impressed with him. Like, I think he looks like a good player, but this is a vet team with a bunch of returners. There probably shouldn't be that many minutes for a kid who looks like he's a future player rather than a now player. I just don't know why they're playing, 10, 11 guys real minutes right now, especially late game. They, if we think about the Lipscomb game we were all at, they took out Tripp for a good bit of the first half, and in the second half, they're playing those young guys and playing all kinds of lineups. They're going. I remember because I was at the game with my dad, and I was sitting beside him. I was like, "Why did they have this lineup in it?" It was 5 minutes into the game, they had an all bench lineup. With a team that's this experienced, and maybe it's like I said, maybe it's just getting experience, and they know that these games don't matter in the grand scheme of things. But yeah, it's bothered me watching it because they should be better than they are, but they're like not empowering these guys that are vets that were with them all year last year and built all this, because they're just playing everybody. They're trying to play so many guys right now. So yeah, that's my hot take, is that they finish outside of the top 5 if they keep playing like this and like these rotations.
So the Tripp thing at Lipscomb, I didn't understand, but I kind of understood. Like, he picked up 2 quick fouls, but then he didn't play the last 8-9 minutes of the first half.
Yeah,
I understand if it's I understand if it's one of the clumsier big guys picks up 2 quick ones and you need him, but this is senior year Corey Tripp. We have to trust him to not pick up his 3rd foul and be smart on defense. I think with the offensive output that he brings for them, it's a bigger risk to take him off the floor for that long than to leave him on it. So I was certainly confused with that, but there's some rationale for the side of Dwight Perry, I guess. My first overreaction is that Rylan Jones will have a solid case for Defensive Player of the Year. Look who has won the past 2 years. They're not like me. They don't like bigs and wings that can guard. They like to see steals and deflections. Kobe Langley won last year with 2.4 steals a game. And Rylan Jones is at 1.6 right now. And he has 3 or 4 extra deflections a game that either just bounce out of bounds or, there's not really a chance. He's just so smart. He sees the game. He sees the pass that he would make as a point guard, and his hands are just constantly in the passing lane. And I think by the end of the year, he'll be above that 2 steals a game mark, and I think that will, kind of force the coaches voting to give him a look. Jack, you don't seem impressed with my take.
I'm a guard Defensive Player of the Year hater, so. But also, I don't see it. I just don't. Yeah.
Listen, I am too.
Yeah, you've got to be insane as a guard for me to ever support you to win it, which can happen, but just bigs have a much bigger impact on the defensive game with both, blocking shots and rebounding, because rebounding is part of defense, finishing possessions. So that's the main thing.
So, did you hate when Marcus Smart won it?
I was about to ask that.
That year was kind of a weak year, but I didn't really fight people on that were like, oh no, Marcus Smart shouldn't win this. But that year was a weak year, and the Defensive Player of the Year, where I did kind of support it, because there wasn't a overarching player. I can't remember who they were. I can't remember back then who else was argued, but it wasn't
probably Rudy Gobert or something.
I'm pretty sure Gobert was hurt or had a bad year. It was a lot of guys. So yes, but most of the time, yeah, I am anti guards winning it, unless they're a Drew Holiday playoffs level of making all the big time plays and guarding 1 through 5. So
yeah.
Matt, I've seen what you. Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say, Matt, I've seen what you've been talking about, because I think against their last game against Texas Southern, there was a few plays where he tipped it, or there was one where their guard tried to. I can't remember the context of the game, but the guard was trying to ISO, and he literally when he tried to do it between the legs, and he just knocked it backwards and all the way back to midcourt, and then had to chuck up a 3-pointer because it was the end of the shot clock. So I've seen what you've been talking about. That's all I was gonna say.
Yeah. I think against teams that have bigger guards, I see that he wouldn't be the best option to defend them, but a lot of the league just has smaller guards, and he's able to get his hands in passing lanes and go after the dribble. So I see the vision. Jack, what is your second overreaction?
Second overreaction, fun one. Once again, probably don't believe this, but it's that Bash Wheeland. Actually, let me take that back. It is that Honor Huff and Trey Bonham will not be Chattanooga's best player this year in conference play. Ooh. And that's because of how good Bash Wheelan has been, and also the looming Frank Champion impact, which, he could suck, but he also could be what a lot of people who are familiar with the D2 game think he could be, and that's a guy who really is going to translate. I think there is some validity to how Chattanooga's season ended last year and ETSU trapping just endlessly. And I've seen it early on in this season, too. I mean, they've gotten trapped pretty bad. Pressure and putting a big guard on them. Can just slow down your game as a small guard. And, we really saw it against USC, obviously, because they have, way more size than they'll play all year. But I don't want to say the book is out because they're great players and they're going to produce regardless. But there is a pretty good book of how to slow them down sometimes. And I think because of that and because of, Bash Wheelan's ability to play off of them and get to the rim and be kind of especially late game, be able to get a more quality shot than they typically do, even though Bonham really is good at getting to the rim. I think there's potential that neither of them may be their best player this season.
It's interesting. Betting against the preseason player of the year and the runner-up.
Hey, it's overreaction for a reason.
Yeah.
I do see the argument. Taylor, what is your second overreaction?
Matt, you're gonna roll your eyes, but Augustinus Kiudelos, I still can't say his name, but will be on the All SoCon first team.
Get out of my face.
That's my overreaction.
Oh my God.
Averaging, I said it earlier.
No.
It's called overreaction for a reason. But as I said earlier, averaging 18 and 7, 46% from the field, 40% from three, 75% from the free throw line. I think a block and a half a game. He can score in the paint. He can make mid range. He can make threes. He can draw fouls. I just think that's perfect play for come SoCon play, especially against the Chattanooga that might not have a true big yet. And I think it'll translate. I mean, they have a big, but some of these teams that aren't deep in the big man game, that was a bad example, but I think his game will translate well in the SoCon play still, being able to score at all three levels that efficiently.
I have no argument that it will translate well. Will it translate well to a first-team all-league selection?
That's why it's an overreaction.
I'm reacting. I'll tell you that. I'm reacting.
VMI would have to finish top 6 for him to be first team probably. So.
Oh, that is true.
Or he'd have to score 20 a game and clearly not be the reason. But
let me not backtrack, but he will make one of the All SoCon teams because if they finish 8th and he's still averaging 18. All right, you know what? No. He's making first team.
He's winning Player of the Year. That's his.
Yeah, he is.
Why stop there?
God, if that actually happens.
So I'm trying to picture him matched up with a Jaden Seymour or some of the other big wings in the league that can guard him effectively. I just don't know if that 18 points a game is holding up through March, basically.
Maybe not, but so maybe shoot more threes than getting into the paint.
It is quite the reaction, I'll give you that.
Told you roll your eyes.
Yeah, you got me.
Yep.
You got me fired up. I'll show a little more love to the militaries here. Brody Fox is going to win Newcomer of the Year. Because of all the things I mentioned earlier, 6'6", athletic, can get to the rim, He's already averaging 19 a game as an effective scorer inside, and he's only shooting 14% from three. So I mean, that's like maybe 6 more points a game for him to get if he goes 2 of 5 from three or whatever it is. Like, I think that side of the offense will come for him, and I think his numbers will be able to hold up through conference play just because of how big and strong and physical he is, and that they'll lean on him a lot for offense. Do either of you have another overreaction?
No, those are my two.
No.
Yep.
All good.
I had a few thoughts, but those are my main two that I committed to.
What did you not commit to? I'm terrified to hear what you did not commit
No, I don't
to.
even remember. I don't remember. It was just like a bunch of thoughts in my head. I was like, but then I didn't
Smith,
believe it. So
National Player of the Year.
If you committed
got
if you committed to a key debt winning, go on first team. All right, well, that is all we have this week. Appreciate everybody sticking through my fight with illness. Appreciate the guys for being on. We will be back to weekly episodes as I am alive again, and we'll hope the second half of the SoCon ASun challenge goes a little better. So we will be back next week, and we appreciate everybody for listening.